One of my absolute favorite things to do is to upcycle furniture. And what that means is taking a piece of furniture that probably just needs a little bit of love and upcycling it by changing out the hardware, adding some paint, and maybe some decorative finishes. That's what we're going to do today. Valspar has sent me some samples of their Chalky paint. It's a new paint brand that they use. And I love the chalk paint because it gives a nice matte finish. One of the reasons I like to try the Chalky Finish paints instead of another paint is you don't have to prime it, you don't have to sand it, you don't have to do anything to the furniture. All I did today was just wash this ahead of time with hot soapy water, and then I'm using a roller to do that first heavy layer, then I'll come back with a brush to smooth out all my strokes. After you have finished completely painting your project, you're going to seal it with a wax. And I've used a lot of chalk paints, and this is the first time I've ever used this one, and their wax is actually kind of more like a lotion than a hard wax, and it's pretty easy to apply that way. So I just kind of brush it on, and it dries pretty fast too. So I put my first coat on with a brush, and I use a short bristled brush for it. As you can see, this kind of just soaks right into the paint, which is good. It makes it easy to work with. It will protect your project. What you want to do once you've got your wax on your project, you want to take a t-shirt and kind of wipe off the excess. Other projects I've used before, you kind of have to really buff out the wax, but it seems like with this brand, you can really kind of wipe it off because it absorbs pretty easily. If you want to antique your project, which that means make it kind of look old, they also offer the antiquing wax. And so what you'll do is you'll kind of highlight the edges of your furniture where there's sharp edges to make it look older. And what I'm going to start with is the edges, because naturally your edges will wear out first. And like I said, this is a little wetter than the waxes I've used before. This one kind of reminds me of like chocolate pudding. So what you do, and I used another brush for this part, and I'm just going to go ahead and just run through and do my edges and then work my way into the middle. And you can kind of just apply it pretty liberally here. And we'll do a couple streaks through here to get started. And then we'll come back and figure out, this is more of like you gotta kind of visualize, this is the artistic, creative part of your project. And you can always go back, because I can see sections in this one that I want to go back and touch up and change the look a little bit. So as you can see, I did it darker on the edges and then a little lighter through the middle. So now we're back with our t-shirt again, and I'm going to also use a damp sponge. So what we're going to do is, this is when we start like softening out our design, because you want to make it look real. So I focus on the edges. I've learned with this wax, sponge kind of helps blend it a little bit. So I'm going to start with the t-shirt, then I'm going to go back with a damp sponge. We are all done with this process, and actually the good part about using this wax, you can go back and touch up whatever you feel like you want to make a little darker, a little lighter. So all we're going to do now is add the hardware. All right, so the only splurge I had on this project was the hardware. I do think that unique hardware really changes the look of a project. And I ordered these from Anthropologie, and I know they're not the same color as the green. I purposely chose the blue with the extra little hint of color in there because I feel like it gives it a kind of an artistic look and something unique to put in my living room. This project I feel was pretty affordable. I took a piece of furniture that I was going to donate to Goodwill. I upcycled it with some Valspar chalk paint, added the hardware, and now I have a brand new piece for my living room, and you can easily transform something yourself.